Well, hello there, folks, and welcome to TK Live. Matthew and I are down here in the studio tonight, and we're here to talk about pickup trucks. That's what TK Live is all about. We like to come in the studio, usually every other week, sometimes every third week, depending on how busy we are. It's we should be doing it more, is the point. But we like to get on here and we like to share the latest in pickup truck news. We comb through the internet, try to find anything interesting, and share it with you guys. Of course, we also like to talk to you guys, so we want to answer all of your questions. Jump in the chat now and let us know what you're thinking about tonight, and we'll try to talk about some trucks. As always, you can email us to hey@truckking.ca, Hey. So yeah, send us an email about whatever you're thinking about, what kind of truck you want to buy, whatever's on your mind, and we'll do our best to answer it. Thanks for the props on the new studio. We have been working on it, trying to up our game a little bit. Although I did say to Matt just earlier, I'm a little sad we're out of the garage. It was a little bit fun.
Yeah, the fireplace didn't go in as planned, so
It was so cold.
this was a better move.
Yeah, that's fair. And then you're probably maybe wondering too where Dad is, and some of you probably know this. Well, he took off to the warmer climates for a couple of months. Him and my mom, they like to take 2 months this year in the winter, and right now they're down in Arizona. He's there with his Ram 2500 and his brand new fifth wheel, well, new to him fifth wheel from Grand Designs. And we're going to be reporting on that trip too. We've already done some interesting things, Matt. We rolled over a cat scale with Dad's truck and his trailer to really dig into the payload and the gross axle ratings and all the numbers. So look out for that video.
Black magic voodoo.
Yeah, and then Dad'll be able to talk about his whole trip too. So and also, yeah, just say hi to him down there. He should be watching. So hey, if you're watching, guys.
Yeah, it's his first week off from us. He might not be watching.
Yeah, that's fair too. So Matt, let's jump into the news. What have you got for us? What's
All right,
our first story?
big news right off the top this week comes out of the General Motors camp, where they have announced a massive investment in bringing a new V8 to the market. So they've promised it to be a small block V8, as they have called it. They're putting an $854 million investment into bringing this engine out, and it will be the 6th generation or version of that motor. There is no confirmation on when, but the only thing that they have given us confirmation is it is slated for pickup truck and large SUV usage.
Nice.
Those are the only two things that we know. And I mean, besides the 5.7 Hemi at Stellantis and the Godzilla engine at Ford, this will be one of the only available overhead cam V8s still on the market once it arrives, mind you.
Sure, quote-unquote old school engine. And it's certainly exciting because for what feels like, 4 or 5 years now, every big announcement is, hey, we're opening a battery plant. Hey, we're opening an EV plant. Hey, we're investing in EVs. That's all we've heard about. So a huge investment is a big deal.
And it's nice to read the investment numbers. I mean, forgive me for a bunch of numbers here, but GM is now putting $579 million into the Flint, Michigan plant, another $216 million into the Bay City, Michigan plant, and then an additional $50 in Ohio and Rochester. So there's spending across the board, and this is on ICE technology, which I didn't think we'd make an announcement like this again. I thought we were done.
Yeah, honestly, I think every brand is throwing darts right now, and nobody knows exactly how this is going to go. I think we all can see how EVs maybe one day could be viable. However, I think that's a ways down the line. So if that's 10 years from now, well, yeah, you're going to need a new gas engine to fill out that gap. So, and I guess we should also say everyone else has also moved to turbocharged V6s, right?
Yes.
Even Stellantis, they're moving that way.
Hybrid, turbocharged, V6, 4s.
Exactly.
The development seems to be going smaller, not big.
Yeah, so this is also a cool announcement just for that exact reason, is that GM's going to keep the 8-cylinder alive, likely naturally aspirated, although, V8 hybrid, that could happen too, right?
I imagine if it exists, we might see it end up in a Corvette.
Yeah.
More than likely, if it still exists.
Well, they just brought out the E-Ray, right? They just brought out that
That's
hybrid
right.
Corvette, which is certainly exciting, although I'm sure that's a whole different setup from what we'd get in a truck, although I'd take that Corvette engine any day. So yeah, it's definitely big news from GM. We were just in a GMC Sierra AT4X today with the 6.2 liter V8, and they are just such nice engines. The power is so smooth and just linear. Nice power, sounds good. It's hard to knock those engines. I always come back to the fact that so many custom car builders go to GM small block crate engines. Like, that's such a go-to. Just throw a crate engine in it, throw a 350 V8 in it, and be done with it.
You've got a crate engine in big green.
Exactly. I've got a 350 crate engine in my truck. It's a Chevy, so at least I'm on brand there. But, I mean, we just visited East Coast Defenders down in Florida. They love putting GM small blocks into old Land Rover Defenders. So, yeah, there's something about those engines. So, good on GM. This is exciting. And we'll see what happens with the other brands. But like I said, you know, Ford, the 5-liter, who knows how long that's going to live on for. Yep. And, I mean, we know the Hellcat's going to go away. Is the Hemi going to go away? Totally in favor of the new twin-turbo? I don't know. So what else, Matt? That's good V8 news.
Yeah, that was the big exciting one off the top. And the next one's an interesting one. So we've got confirmation, and I'm only saying that in quotations because as I get to here, the guys over at Motor One posted the 2024 patent photos of the Toyota Tacoma. Now they sourced these out of Brazil. So they have an open source, information network down there. You freedom of everything, so you can look at things. They've got the photos as well as some engine information that they pulled from a public database. Now, this truck, as we see it, I think Steve's got a photo there to show you guys.
Right here.
Blammo. So this truck, as we see it, like I said, came out of the Brazilian patent office. So it might be more the Hilux platform, but I don't imagine ours will look 2 shades different than that once it lands in North America.
Yeah, it is always hard to say with any of these images how true to the real truck they'll be, because sometimes, Matt, they'll even have to throw these images out there just to patent a wheel or a fender or a badge. So you never know for sure. However, we have seen that concept, and we know what a Tacoma looks like. And I think we also know Tacoma and Toyota, they're not going to be super aggressive with this truck. They're going to make sure it's still a Tacoma because this is the best-selling midsize truck there is. They're not going to mess with the formula that much. So to my eyeballs, this is a totally believable look.
And we know that this one has not gone too far afield from that concept.
Exactly.
That original concept photo or mock-up that we saw looks exactly like this.
Basically.
No one was really surprised. The interesting thing, though, with that, I can't even call it a leak, with that discovery is we got a little bit of engine information. So the standard unit, so the truck that you see, you're going to see the powertrain come out of the Highlander, which is the 2.4-liter turbo 4-cylinder, running 265 horsepower and 309 pounds-feet of torque. And then there is going to be an electrified version. And that will be the same that comes out of the Lexus platform with a 2.4-liter turbo with a single electric motor combo. And that's going to be putting out 366 and 406.
Man, if those numbers
are huge numbers. Well, those are the numbers in the Lexus.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Fair enough. Yeah, and exactly. For a Tacoma, that's going to be a monster. Now, I would question whether or not we're going to get just a regular non-hybrid Tacoma in North America. Maybe that's a world option.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong here. This is just taking a stab in the dark too, but I feel like Toyota is probably going to move towards hybrid only for that truck. And maybe EV one day too, right?
EV is the tease, but there was nothing in these documents about a battery electric.
No, I don't feel that coming for a little bit from them. But definitely with this new Tacoma, we're getting that hybrid. We know it almost for sure. The question is, will we get that kind of base engine too? But those are great numbers, man.
Yeah. That rivals those rival the 2 trucks we were running in today, and those were V8.
That's fair.
V8 full-size pickups.
That's fair. I don't know if they had anything in there on timeline, but again, as far as we know, we should be seeing that new Tacoma probably this summer, maybe earlier than that. It'll be a 2024. That is what everyone expects right now. And then the 4Runner, if I can just put it out there, is that's actually been pushed back, so we're not going to see that till after the Tacoma. So that's coming too, but we have even longer to wait for the new 4Runner.
This is just exciting because it's here. It's here. It's very close.
Yeah.
Because this has been a very long rollout this product.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a while now. And one interesting point I just want to actually bring up too is the Tundra. Because the Tundra, in my opinion, didn't stay that conservative when it restyled. That styling was kind of, controversial. We heard a lot of people who came out right away and said, what the heck is that? It doesn't look like a Tundra and I don't like it. Yeah. But I also think, Matt, because Tundra, again, isn't such a sales juggernaut, they can afford to change it in different ways. That's why I think Tacoma will pretty much look like that photo. It's going to stay conservative just because it owns that segment. So what else, Matt? What else we got cooking?
Well, I think we're heading over to the Ram camps for some more news this week, are we not?
We are, yeah. We got a lot to talk about on the Ram EV. I'm sure everybody saw it by now. That Ram Revolution. They're calling it a concept. Yeah, it's probably half concept, half reality. The truck that they actually rolled out to us. Now, there's two things that we have to talk about on this new Ram. We've already shared most of the details. We have a video here on the channel. There's videos all over YouTube. Go watch one. What we're going to talk about right now is, first of all, Matt, that in an interview, the Ram CEO confirmed to some media that the truck is going to get a range extender, a gasoline range extender. Now, that is different from a hybrid. A range extender means that the truck is still only driven by electricity. So it is an electric vehicle, but there's a gas engine that supplies electricity. It's a generator.
It's a generator.
Exactly.
A range extender is just a fancy word for you're bringing a generator.
The gas engine, the generator is built in. So, you know what? I think they're almost getting out ahead of all of the hate that we've seen for the F-150 Lightning and all of these electric trucks, of all these guys saying, you know what, I'm going to drive gasoline till I die. I'll never get an electric truck. And I don't blame you. Again, there's a lot to be desired with electric vehicles today. So I think Ram kind of cleverly is saying, let's get out ahead of this. Let's already let people know we're going to have the range extender. You're going to be able to get gasoline just like you can today,
like anywhere else.
So if you want to do 1,000 miles with your trailer, you can do it. Probably be a small fuel tank, so you're stopping a lot, but still, the point there is I think that's a smart solution. I'm surprised that the plug-in hybrid setup isn't already in the Ram. Like, they have the 4xe in the Wrangler and in the Pacifica. The fact that it's not there already, I think, is a mistake. I think they could have been cleaning up right now, being the only brand to offer that middle option, that plug-in hybrid. Everyone else is jumping that straight to EVs. I don't know why Ram wouldn't have done that. So, yeah, I think range extender in this thing makes all the sense in the world. And, again, we're going to see that truck hopefully later this year. It's a 2024. So we'll actually get it next year. Maybe it'll launch with the range extender. Maybe it won't. Those are all questions that remain to be seen. But
it'll all depend. Like, look at Ford did patent a drop-in bed-to-bed range extender for the Lightning that no one has seen since the patent existed. So they're out there.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure everyone looked at the idea, and for whatever reason, like I said, they jumped over it straight to full EV. So you can't just go for the middle option. Now, I'm happy that Liam Robinson there brought up exactly what we're going to talk about next. This Ram Revolution is a 3-row pickup truck. Now, they announced that to us. I wasn't there at CES to see the truck. So I'm like, what does that mean? Show me what that means. And they finally released photos, Matt. So let's look at the 3rd row of the Ram Revolution. Here it is. So in this picture, at the very far right of your screen, you'll see what is the front passenger seat. And then you'll see the 2nd row. And then you're going to see that little tiny, those jump seats in the back.
Yeah.
So they fold up into the wall. Now, interestingly, that wall is also a mid-gate, so that whole thing can be removed, too, because Ram went there as well. But, yeah, those are little jump seats. Now, honestly, Matt, that 2nd row probably is pushed all the way forward. So if it was back there, I mean, who's going to fit back there besides little kids, probably? But let's just talk about the concept of a 3-row pickup truck, because it almost feels inevitable. Like, if you have watched pickup trucks constantly, this is what's been happening. We have been slowly but surely getting bigger and bigger cabs and littler beds. That's the progression of pickup trucks. So if we follow that progression, we're going to have 4-foot beds and 3-row cabs. These are basically going to be minivans with little baby beds on the back.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I don't know if Ram will actually bring this to production in the Revolution, if this was just an idea that they thought they'd throw out there, if this is something, I mean, you couldn't do this in an existing pickup truck because obviously the dimensions aren't there, but if they're willing to eat more into that bed, they can always add it, and if people at the dealership are like, I just wish I could bring 2 more extra kids with me, I don't know, maybe they'll get talked into it, man.
The jump seat concept in general just it screams right away to me that this is just some guy in the design team had this, I don't even know what to call it. He had a hard-on for this idea. And he really wanted it to make it into this car. And it just doesn't make sense. Think about the vehicles you've seen these in. your Mazda B2200s, your Ford Rangers, all your other little pickups throughout the years that have had these cute little flip-down seats. Have you ever sat in one? Besides when you were 10?
I was going to say when I was a kid, yeah.
I
We were in
remember
the
I
back
remember
of
I
the
had a
Mazda.
Ranger once, and I crammed 2 of my buddies in it to go from my high school to my house, and that was only 5 kilometers, and that sucked. But we did it. So, like, looking at those in that photo, there's just no way. Like, if you're going to do the 3-row, do the 3rd row. Don't give us that. Cut the middle row out, offer me the jump seat as a backup alternative seat. Sure, that I would even be okay with.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do the 3rd row, do it. Put the seats in, lose the bed, cut the bed, give me, it's you know what it's going to look like? You did a good review in, I think it was last summer, forgive me, on one of the Can-Am off-road models. 4 seats and a bed that was about 9 inches long. It's going to end up looking like that. And it's useless and it's hilarious. And that's the problem. It should not exist, but there's a market for it, so it will exist.
Well, yeah, because, we know the truth of pickup trucks is a lot of people buy them and you drive it empty half the time, right? If not more than half the time. So most of the time, you don't care how big your bed is.
So then just buy them, Ram already makes the Pacifica, or pardon me, Chrysler makes the Pacifica, just buy that.
That's it.
And then keep your stuff out of the rain if you need to
Or
put something in the
Durango.
trunk. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Ram is going out on a limb with that one. So we'll see what happens once the actual truck rolls out, if they keep them there or not. I don't think they will, but yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. It's going to be cool, though, once we do get that Ram EV and we actually can compare a Lightning to a Ram to a Silverado. Because right now, I think the Ford is kind of the, forgive the pun, the lightning rod for all of the EV truck world hate and love, whatever it is, actually, either side of it. It's all focused at the Lightning, a little bit the Rivian, but mostly the Ford. So I'm excited to see once the other brands actually get on the road, how we can compare them and see how they actually roll out there. Well, Matt, I got one more story for you. I'm going to pull it up here, but it's about the Tesla Cybertruck.
Okay.
Another truck that we all love to hate. So, last we heard, again, it's always been big question marks with the Cybertruck, but once again now, Elon has confirmed that the Cybertruck has been pushed back. It is now delayed once again, and he says that it will enter mass production not before 2024. So next year. And this is, I think, the 3rd, 4th, or 5th time that this thing has been pushed back. So it just keeps happening. And the reason I bring this up is Cybertruck, I think, is like, we've gotten so many emails and so many questions about Cybertruck. And everyone treats it like it's real, and Tesla just keeps kicking it down the road. I don't know if we're actually going to see this thing. And then I think the biggest kind of joke of it is that Tesla almost created this market by announcing Cybertruck. Everyone else was going there, but Cybertruck lit this pickup truck market on fire, and they're not even there. Ford and everyone is going to leapfrog them and actually have a product on the road. So, you know what? I don't like to doubt Tesla because they usually
Deliver
do the
eventually.
things, but it's always eventually. But now I'm just like, who's going to buy it? I'm curious, man.
We've been looking at the original iteration of that for so long, we're almost due for a model refresh.
Yeah, exactly, right? Well, actually, that's kind of Tesla's MO, right? They haven't touched the Model S barely since it debuted, too. It got a little facelift, but all of their cars have not changed all that much.
No.
So what else, Matt? What's going on in the comments? I see lots of comments coming in.
We got lots of stuff, lots of love going on. Starting right off the top, a lot of hellos and greetings. Hello from Russia again. Well,
Nice.
thank you for watching before as well, and tonight. Much appreciated. Always wondered what kind of trucks that we drive, Mr. Jimmy Aller asks.
Sure. Well, I mean, everyone's seen my truck. I have big green 1985 Chevy K10. My daily drivers are embarrassing and no fun. I have 3 kids, so I drive a minivan. What can I say? I love my Honda Odyssey. But yeah, as often as I can, I get out there in big green, and I'll never give up my truck. And even if I do get rid of big green, I'm going to replace it with another truck, which I've been toying with the idea, but we'll see. But I love having it, man, especially the manual. Like, nothing we ever get is manual anymore. So I just love being able to jump in my truck. It's only 3 speeds, so it's not too much shifting either. Right? Not like a 7-speed or something. So anyways, yeah, Big Green's me. Max, he's got a list though, right?
I have a list, yeah. I mean, my current truck is a 2008 Toyota Matrix that I treat like a pickup truck because I'm never nice to that thing, but it also never dies. But I have owned an entire array of trucks. I had an 89 Dodge D150 once upon a time with the little V6 in it.
Oh, that's a great truck.
Then I had...
Was it a V? I thought it was an I6 or a
that
slant
was a V.
6.
It was a little baby V in that thing.
Nice.
Then I had... Oh my goodness, what was my next truck after that one? It would have been my Ram, I guess, after that. Mm-hmm. So I went and I bought a brand new 2016 Ram Outdoorsman with the Eco Diesel. Then I got a 2010 Toyota Tacoma Access Cab 2.4 liter, little 4-cylinder, 2-wheel drive. That was a great little baby truck.
I almost forgot about that.
I ran that one for about a year and a half. And then I actually was given a Honda Ridgeline.
Which is on the channel.
It is on the channel. If you dig through the back catalogs, you'll see that truck. But and I ran that for a year and a half until the rear subframe fell out of it. Yeah, that was a sad day.
And didn't the Tacoma get a frame replacement for the recall?
And that's part of the reason I bought that Tacoma is because I knew the frame was rotten and I knew I was getting a free frame.
Yeah.
So yeah, both of those trucks were purchased specifically knowing they were going to get bought back and or had a massive recall done on them. But then yeah, the Ridgeline died and I went back to the Matrix, and for a $700 car that I've owned for almost 8 years now, you can't be beat.
That's true. Odometer, Matt put the engine in that car.
I put a new engine in it when I bought it, and odometer froze at 300,000, and that was about 5 years ago. I just don't care. Change the oil twice a year and drive the crap out of it. That car, it owes me nothing, literally.
Yeah, and then I'll just speak for Dad. As you may know, he's got his Ram 2500, and then he's also got his 71 Chevy C10. Little Green, as I like to call it, which is a truck that hasn't been on the channel as much as it should be. So
No.
I like to say this, but we're going to stick to it this summer. We're going to get that truck on the channel, especially because Dad loves to beat on it too and fill it with brush and work it hard.
Yeah, that's true. He's a strange character, my dad. When he tells people what he does with that truck, sometimes their jaws hit the ground.
Yeah, and the funny thing is it's still in good shape and the value's still going up.
Yeah. And he's owned a variety of stuff. I mean, just off the top of my head, I know we had that little Mazda B2200 running around as kids. He ran that all through the late 90s, I want to say.
Yeah, that's the truck I'll always remember. That's the truck I learned to shift on from the passenger seat, and Dad would work the clutch. And I was like 7 years old doing all the shifting. That was the best.
And I mean, he'd have to tell you the rest of them. I know he owned an old Ford. I know he owned all kinds of other stuff. But yeah, Ron wants to buy Big Green. Oh, Ron.
Well, if the price is right, Ron. Yeah, I don't know, man. I've been throwing around the idea, maybe getting something else for the channel. Obviously, there's always more that could be done on any project vehicle. So Big Green, I've always wanted to do lockers. I was talking actually with GM Canada about maybe getting them to sponsor some parts that I could put into the truck. I thought it'd be really cool to get an actual G80 from GM. Or I think it's an Eaton locker. But anyways, from General Motors, and put that in the truck because that's an actual proper GM product, right? So trying to keep it all the same brand. Point there is, I don't know though. Then sometimes I fall out of love with it and I think, oh, wouldn't it be cool to buy some other cool off-roader that I could get on the channel? So yeah, I'm always toying with the idea. So we will see.
Okay. There's a rumor floating around that the Tacoma will get a commercial at the Super Bowl. Well, that would be a cool way to show it off.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
If it's ready, that's 2 weeks from now? Something like that? I'm not a football fan, sorry.
Same. No, yeah, I mean, there's always big reveals at the Super Bowl.
Yep. Would an Elmer fit in that third row?
No.
Not likely.
No, Steve would not fit.
I mean,
not unless the second row was folded all the way down, kind of like how they showed it in the photos. But there's no chance, man. Which, yeah, again, it's an idea for little kids. Although, I wonder if they could have lower latch anchors back there, and you could get a child seat in. Because if you're just actually working with kid seats, well, it'd be kind of cool to be able to have the kids in the very back. Although maybe then that's no good for them either because you can't really get to them.
I don't know. It just seems impractical at every turn.
Yeah.
These mugs are not in our merchandise store.
No,
But
not.
if
They're
you guys are interested in them, I mean, we might be able to add something like that to the
I'm
merch
sure
store.
we could. Yeah, we could add some stuff.
If
We got some merch there.
if
you guys
there's a
are ever
market for it.
interested. We got a toque, and we got a shirts, and we got sweaters.
Hoodies and stickers, all kinds, and baseball caps, all kinds of stuff.
Well, I can talk a little bit, Matt, about
Sure.
what we've been doing, because we've been really busy. I don't know as well if everyone knows, but hopefully you do, that we started a second channel. It's called TK Powersports and RVs. As the name suggests, it's all about power sports and RVs. The whole idea here was, if you watch Trucking, you know we were doing some power sports and RVs on Trucking, but YouTube doesn't really like it when you try to do too much on one channel. So we split that stuff off. We're trying to keep the trucks and the SUVs on Trucking, and then we're keeping that stuff over there. But Dad and I just spent a week in Florida, 5 days down there, and we almost exclusively shot for TK Powersports and RVs. So first of all, we went to the Tampa Bay RV Super Show, and we shot all the new RVs that just dropped. Now the cool thing about Tampa Bay is that it happens after what's called the RV Open House. That's where all the manufacturers roll out their new model year products. So Tampa Bay is the first big show that happens. So everything we shot was something that was brand spanking new. So yeah, go check out the other channel. We try to review RVs. We walk through them. We look at all the appliances, the floor plans. Of course, we always talk about weights. We always make a point to bring up GVWRs and what kind of tow vehicle you should probably have for it. So yeah, make sure you check out those videos. And then we left Tampa Bay. We drove across the state to a place called Melbourne, Florida, and we rode brand new Sea-Doo models. Now, 3 out of 4 of those videos are already published.
Yep.
So if you go over to TK Powersports right now, and Matthew, maybe you can toss a link down there too.
Sure.
So if you want to go check it out, you can go over to TK Powersports and see all these Sea-Doo reviews. And, I mean, it was fun, man. It was nice to get out of the cold. Sea-Doo is doing some exciting stuff. Sea-Doo owns that market. You know, Wave Runner and Jet Ski are just, they don't really compete. They're there. They're a portion, but they're not as big as Sea-Doo. Sea-Doo is the monster in that segment, so they're always coming up with new, interesting, cool ideas. Matt, we rode the Explorer Pro, which has a windshield. It's a Sea-Doo with a massive windshield. It's all about riding for hundreds of miles, you know, down the ocean or down the coast. It was really cool. So anyways, I'm going on and on, but the point is, there's the link. It's down there. Make sure you check out our other channel, TK Powersports and RVs. Hit the subscribe button. We need as many subscribers over there as we can get. And yeah, we got cool ATV content coming. The snow has finally arrived here in Southern Ontario, so we're going to test some new Yamaha snowmobiles coming up too. Yeah, if you guys love that, and I mean, let's be honest, everyone who loves trucks pretty much loves power sports. So go over to the channel and make sure you subscribe, because we've been busy trying to get TK Power Sports.
We're trying to grow. It's not the biggest market, the biggest following over there, so every little bit helps. If you know a buddy who's into ATVs, side-by-sides, water sports, whatever, send him a link. You know, you like us, maybe. Like Steve more than me more than Steve, whatever. Just send him a link, try and pump us up a little bit. We appreciate it every day.
Heck yeah.
So Brian Hudgens, and I don't know if this is the Brian Hudgens that we know or not, but he does say, I wonder if the Cybertruck has an issue charging in cold weather. I do know that they were cold weather testing here recently. I don't know where here is, Brian, but more than likely.
But sorry, no, I just meant the answer is yes, that it's going to have a problem charging in the cold, because every EV has a problem charging in the cold. You can't defeat physics. And maybe Tesla's battery technology will somehow be a little better, but in the cold, the battery will do worse, period. Right?
Yep.
Like, there's just no getting around it. The one-up I think Tesla has today, and I've never owned a Tesla, I've never charged at a supercharger, but from what I see and what seems obvious online is that the supercharger network is vastly superior to all of the other public charging networks. So I'll give them that if a Cybertruck rolled out today, I think that you're going to have way more options for charging than you do for a Lightning. But no, it shouldn't charge any faster, and it shouldn't, well, it might charge faster, but the cold will affect it the same.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Same diminishing returns as other products.
Yeah, I mean, we had the F-150 Lightning, and it's funny, man, we got the Lightning the first week of January, which, of course, when I booked it, I was like, well, it's probably going to be minus 20. That's not out of the realm at all for where we live, right? It was like 0 degrees.
Warm.
It was raining all week. It was like between 0 and 2 degrees Celsius. It was a gross week. but it wasn't that cold. But even at 2 degrees, there was a noticeable drop in the range. The quoted range on the truck was like 380 kilometers, and the best we ever got out of it was about 300. Not to mention, once the trailer went on, we were closer to about 240 kilometers in the range.
Yeah.
And again, that's at 2. Yeah, go to minus 20. That's going to suck up your range, not to mention you're running the heater that much more too, right?
Exactly. All right.
No doubt a problem that EVs still face, right? And I don't know if it's as bad in the heat, but I mean, I also hear the heat's not good for a battery too, right? You live in a place where it's crazy hot all summer, it's going to suck up your battery as well.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Mr. Doug, we'll get to you one moment. Thank you very much right away. Anybody watching, you have a question, truck related, SUV related, towing, anything of that nature, jump on in the chat and ask. We're here. It's kind of a slow night, I'm not going to lie about it. So ask some questions and we will do our best to get to you and answer your questions. That being said, Doug Sage, thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, Doug.
I believe there's room in the market for an 80s sized Ranger, Taco, or S10. Why not? You're not wrong. And I think that's when you're starting to see Maverick, Santa Cruz. There was and forgive me, this is not confirmed. This is not information that I have. It's just some rumors that I've read on a couple of different automotive sites. Something called a Ram 1200. Something that is being teased or looked at elsewhere that might end up in the market in that mid-size, smaller range. So they're out there, they're coming, and yes, there is a market for them. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Although that's it. I mean, I think maybe what you're getting at, Doug, when you think about those old Rangers, Tacomas, S10s, those are quote unquote real trucks. Those are body on frame small trucks. The Maverick is not that. In fact, the Maverick is front-wheel drive biased, right? Whereas every truck ever has been rear-wheel drive biased. So I don't know. That's a question. I don't know if there's a place in the market for a quote-unquote real small truck, because I think most people buying those trucks, they don't care about those things. They want all-wheel drive. They don't care where the power goes first. They want a bed. It doesn't have to be huge. And body on frame versus unibody these days, I think, matters less than ever.
Yeah.
So I think that's sort of the point. Is like you mentioned, is there a market for it? Yes. And the Maverick's already filling that spot. I wouldn't expect to ever see sort of the resurgence of, again, a quote unquote real small truck. If that makes sense.
In keeping with what you said, this plays into the exact same vein as the guy that's going to buy the 3-row Ram EV. It's just. They don't care about it being a truck anymore. It's just, it is what it is. It looks like a truck. You can tell people it's a truck, but it's not.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough.
Fast Ed 58 would like to ask us any timeline on press vehicles, i.e. the 23 Colorado Canyon.
Yeah, it's a good one, and I'll just say someone else just asked about that as well. Anyways, NL Ken asked too. So, yes. Good news, we are going to drive the new Colorado. I'm going to pull out my calendar so I don't mess the date up. On February the 13th, so that's only 2 weeks from now. The embargo breaks, I think, a few days after that, so it's going to be mid-February. But yeah, we're driving the new Colorado coming up down in La Jolla, California, so that's going to be nice, too, to get out of the cold. So we will have Colorado. They already told us it's only going to be non-ZR2, so everything but the ZR2, which is fine. So we'll be able to get into all the kind of regular trucks and hopefully some of the more affordable trucks. And we'll be able to report on the Colorado. And then I would assume we will drive the Canyon probably a month or two after that. And then eventually the ZR2. But mid-February for our first report on that Colorado. And the good news that kind of worked out for us is where my dad is down south right now. He's not far. So he's going to drive over. He's going to meet me. I'll fly down. And him and I will be able to make that video together. So that's cool.
Awesome.
I want to just address the Tesla thing again because I don't know a lot about Teslas, so I'm sure, Jeremy, you probably know more than I do, man. Talking about they snake the coolant passages around the cells to prevent thermal runaway in the Tesla battery pack. It makes a lot of sense, rather than having the pack being more exposed.
Yeah. And he was saying here, to your point in cold weather charging, that the Tesla will precondition for fast charging on the way to the supercharger, so that by the time it gets there, it can charge it near peak.
Yeah, that makes sense, too.
Which is super smart.
Although, again, I think I stand by the fact that obviously the cold is going to affect them negatively, maybe just less so than other brands, right?
Yep.
But this is also, I mean, it's not a secret, right? Everyone knows this. General Motors has their test facility in Kapuskasing, Ontario, where it's constantly minus 35. So everyone is working on it, right? I think Ford, I'm sure they could have done more. I'd say that they were almost at a disadvantage because one of the things Ford did is they didn't go clean sheet design, right? They went, we need to work with an F-150 frame and existing packaging and just get the battery in there. So maybe the other brands, because they started from scratch, are able to do some of those things as well. We'll have to see.
So, Liam Robinson says, as Red Green has demonstrated, there's an awful lot that you can do with a minivan. With modern truck prices, new or used, a used minivan can take you far enough to use your ATV and can certainly tow enough to make things worthwhile.
Totally.
You're right, man.
You get the 4x8 sheet of plywood in there. That's always like the classic test. Yeah, take all the seats out. There's so much space.
You buy one cheap enough and you just treat it like a crappy old truck. Yeah. Who cares?
It's not cool. That's the problem. Let's be honest.
There is no cool factor there.
It's not cool. Hey, although I guess that's the coolest way to use a minivan.
It is. I mean, if you're already married and you got nobody to impress, go for it, man.
Yeah, that's fair. I saw someone mention, too, that people take matrices and make little trucks out of them. You can totally do that,
I've seen that company, and I thought if my matrix ever dies, that is a fitting end for my car.
We got a Sawzall out. We could make it happen. No problem. That'd be a great video for the channel.
Mike says not a good idea to take a Sawzall to a Corolla. I like that.
It'd be fun. Another comment I saw from Dan was...
Thank you for the follows on the channel, guys, by the way. Much appreciated.
Yeah, heck yes. Yeah, we're trying to pump the channel. And actually back to TK Powersports. Dan asked for an electric Polaris Ranger test. And I would love to. I've actually never driven the EV Polaris Ranger, which has been around for a while now, too. So that's exciting. Powersports, too, there's some downsides to going electric, but I think less so than a vehicle you have to live with on a day-to-day basis. If you know how far you're going to ride and you know when you want to do that ride, well, you charge her up and you're ready to go. Now, of course, there's the whole I'm going to get stranded in the bush thing, and that's legit sometimes. Yeah. But I'm also excited for the future of electric power sports, electric ATVs, side-by-sides. Electric PWCs, man, are going to be crazy. Again, getting that instant torque is going to be awesome. But then just the silence on the water, hearing the waves slapping the boat, it's going to be cool.
It'll be a different experience, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, I've already done, electric off-roading in just the Wrangler 4xe, and even in a Wrangler, it's a really cool experience because suddenly you're just hearing everything. You're hearing the tires more, you're hearing what they're doing in the mud more, you're hearing the sticks you're running over more. It's mostly about the sound, obviously the sensation of the torque.
You actually have to listen to Dad on the trail when he tells you to turn and go around things?
Yeah, can't just drown him out
with the engine back.
V8 noise.
In the same Jeep camp, do you think that the Gladiator will get a refresh this year? Or a possible new powertrain, and we've got Hurricane in brackets.
It's a good question.
Hurricane, I think, is a very good possibility.
We haven't heard a lot about Gladiator. He's right, no news on a refresh.
What are sales numbers like on Gladiator?
Gladiator did pretty well last year in the States. It sells better in the States than it does in Canada.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would do Hurricane, though. That's probably a lot of power for that truck, man. Maybe some kind of insane version.
Call it a Hellcat version?
Well, that's, Stellantis. If anyone's going to do it, it's Stellantis. If
anyone's going to Hellcat things.
Yeah, you're right. I think maybe that would be too much power. But yeah, in terms of a refresh, we haven't heard much. And on the same token, Matt, we've heard kind of a lot and not a lot about a Dakota. Dakota rumor has been floating around now for, years.
Like I said, I've seen this moniker of the Ram 1200 floated in a couple of different things lately. Is that a Dakota by another name? Is it a code name? Is it I don't know.
So I don't know either. And that would be the obvious way to do Dakota would just be to rebadge the Gladiator, right? You have the truck, make it look a little different, and call it a Dakota. I don't know if they're going to do that, and maybe that's what they're waiting for. Maybe they're waiting to redesign Gladiator so then they can make it work a little bit better for both brands. Yep. It remains to be seen. But I guess the short answer to your question is no, we don't know anything about a Gladiator update.
Fair. Hey, everybody. How's going? Thanks so much. That's quite a name. Thank you. Are there any V8s getting discontinued? I'm sure there's several. The one thing, and actually you and I talked about this earlier, And again, this is my legal disclaimer. I do not know this. This is not for a fact. This is just something we've read, and we've all read between the lines. But the Nissan Titan sounds like it is on its last dying breaths here in North America and just in existence in general. The brass at Nissan in different interviews across different places have said things like, the Titan will continue for another model year. The Titan will stay on as it is for another year or two. So they're not going to refresh it. We don't think they're bringing it back. And it has Nissan's only remaining V8.
Yeah, the Endurance V8. Yeah.
So when it dies, I think that engine goes with it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. The question would be then the Armada, but then do they just pull the plug on the Armada too?
I think they go at the same time.
Especially when Armada showed up in 2017, it was a rebadged Patrol, which was the worldwide model, which had already been on sale in that exact same form since like 2012, I believe.
Yeah.
So the current day Armada is over a decade old. It's just an old Patrol that they've constantly updated. Again, I say this to just mean that I don't think it would be a big deal for Nissan to pull the plug. Nissan's in a bad way. Nissan
in
is
general.
Yeah, and like I think if anyone watched the GTR unveiling, we were so excited for what even media believed was a next generation GTR, and essentially what we got was a heavily refreshed GTR. And that was the same thing with the Frontier, man. We were so stoked for a brand new Frontier, and it's just not. It's a new powertrain, which is great, but it's basically same frame, same steering system, same suspension. They didn't change that much. They totally overhauled the interior. Give it to them there. It's nice. Yeah. But this has just been the trend at Nissan now for a number of years. We're waiting for the all-new model, and they bring out a heavy refresh.
R&D is suffering, and that's not usually a good sign. I mean, look at they jumped right in with what is it, the Aria, the Nissan Aria, the battery electric vehicle.
Yeah.
But that kind of keeps falling through the cracks. And anytime you ask about it, they go, "Look at the Leaf."
yeah, the thing we've had forever, which is what they've been saying. So yeah, I can't speculate about the future of Nissan, but as the product goes, it's not that
tells
strong
a story.
right now. Yeah,
it tells a story.
The Rogue and that Pathfinder, actually, we were in Pathfinder just recently.
That was good.
I think that's a strong product. Probably those are their best, Rogue and Pathfinder. And outside of that, I don't think they have much going on these days.
Alrighty. Let's do this one, shall we?
Yeah.
Why not a two-door long bed truck? No. I mean, I would love it. Some people would love it, but there's no market for it. Zero market for a two-door long bed pickup truck. It won't happen. Like, I think you can still order an F-150 XL or LT, whatever the lowest trim is, in that configuration, but you almost end up paying more sometimes to get less, because of how weird that setup is.
Yeah,
Ram doesn't offer a regular cab anymore. Chevy doesn't offer a regular. Ford, I think, might be the only one.
I don't even know if Ford does anymore.
I think you can still build a standard. I think, or maybe it has to be cab and a half or whatever.
That's what I was gonna say. I think maybe it just went down to the cab and a half model too. Oh no, they still list a red cab. So you're right.
Ford's the only one that you can still get a red cab.
It just went away on Ram, and actually Ram for the last 2 years, maybe even 3. The only red cab you could get was the Ram Classic. They never brought out the new DT as a regular cab. So that was the hook there too. Is they kept the old regular cab on for an extra 3 years overlap.
Yeah.
But the new truck has never been a red cab.
Yeah.
So no, and this is what we're talking about. It's just that's the trend in trucks. People want to bring people and stuff more than they want to bring cargo. You know. I have Big Green that has an 8-foot bed. I love the 8-foot bed. It really is so handy. It's almost, it's bad when you get into a truck with a 5.5-foot bed. I'm like, oh, I got a truck. I can go get a mattress. And then you get there and you're like, well, how am I getting this mattress? And I got to fold it over. Yeah, or ATVs or snowmobiles, which we haul all the time. And I have that big steel toolbox in my truck. I can get that plus an ATV with the tailgate closed. And it's always great to close the gate. So I love an 8-foot bed too. But there's no way it's coming back. Yeah. The 6.5, that hopefully will never go away, right? That'll kind of become the long bed option.
Yep.
But yeah, no, that's just the way pickups have gone.
Marky Mark asks, and forgive me, Mark, do you where Mazda is getting the inline 6 for the CX-90 from? Do you know where? I'm going to assume.
Oh, I thought it was a Mazda engine. I believe it's a brand new Mazda engine, unless I'm mistaken. But I read the press release. I just did the news video, and they made it sound like that's a clean sheet Mazda design. Which that's one of the most exciting kind of under the radar headlines. There is a new Japanese inline six because that has not come out from any of those manufacturers for quite a while, especially in automotive. So people are really excited for that engine, Matt. Not just in CX-90, but hey, maybe eventually start pulling them out of there and putting them in other things. Because, Mazda inline six engines and Toyotas and Honda inline six engines, they've always been really good and really well, thought of.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's an exciting engine, but yes, as far as I know, it's clean sheet Mazda design.
Okay. Do we know, I mean, these are going to be very exact things, but the length with the second row folded down and width of a Sequoia, can you easily fit a 4x8 sheet in a Sequoia?
I would go ahead and right off the bat guess no.
Probably not. It's
mostly
pretty
because
wide.
But mostly because Sequoia got smaller. The last Sequoia was a monster.
Yeah.
But new Sequoia got smaller. I actually have
snubbed up the back.
I have the spec sheet right here, so I'm gonna look it up.
Okay, you look it up.
Overall width is listed at 79.6 inches, but that's overall width on the vehicle. So it wouldn't necessarily tell you how much storage space there is. But anyways, that's sort of one of the disappointing parts of the new Sequoia was that the interior got smaller. The third row got smaller. Second row feels tighter. First row even feels tighter. In a big SUV, that should not be the case. Yeah, so I don't actually get those dimensions, right? Toyota lists cubic feet, but that's not really going to tell the story either. Behind the second row, you have 49 cubic feet, which is okay, but not huge. So, again, my gut tells me the answer is no, though. I don't think a 4x8 would fit.
Alrighty. In the same vein of the V8 question, is Ford getting rid of the 5-liter? We don't know.
Not that I've ever heard. As far as I know, it's still a fairly popular choice. Last time I remember them talking about it, EcoBoost was 50%, and then 5-liter and the V6 made up the other 50%. So it's not bad, right? They're definitely selling some of those engines.
If they're selling them, they'll keep building them. I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah, and Ford, again, Ford recognized that they couldn't just go turbo only. Some people just don't want to go there, so they'll keep the 5-liter. I don't know for how long, though. But the Mustang's still going strong, so there's always going to be another home for that engine, right?
This one's a bit above our pay grade. Do you think interest rates are going to go down?
Interest rates are going to bring... No, do you think interest rates are going to bring down prices of trucks?
Oh.
Because interest rates are going up.
Oh, fair enough. I misread that.
I guess my cynical point
at
of view
a certain
is
point,
no.
if nobody can afford them...
That is true.
Stop buying them.
Trucks are getting insanely expensive, but so is everything, and that's such a. We're all talking about it these days, but even in the power sports industry, ATVs, $18,000-$20,000 ATVs are totally normal now. So yeah, I guess the short answer is no. Although I do understand, you'd think that maybe the price of trucks have to come down because the interest rates are sky high, so people can't afford them, and that's it. The dealers will be able to tell the brands exactly what's going on, and if they need those incentives, that's what'll start happening, right? They'll start knocking off money off the top because they recognize the interest rates are so high. But yeah, I don't, like Matt said, that is above our pay grade.
Yeah.
I'll just sit here and complain about not having enough money. But yeah, I also hope they don't get rid of the 5-liter. And it's funny, as I was talking, I remembered they did update the 5-liter in that new Mustang. So they actually did already work on that engine. They did not announce it for F-150. And I remember being there at the Mustang launch and saying, hey, when's this coming? And everyone's like, we don't know. But it's like, yes, they just updated the 5-liter. Of course, that's going to drop into the F-150. It makes total sense.
Yeah.
So what else is going on? I see Dan's been to Cap a few times. I've actually never been to Kapuskasing. We've been up to Hearst, but I'd love to go snowmobiling up there. I know the trails are awesome.
You've driven the Hurricane engine, have you not?
Yeah,
once
in the it's not the Grand Wagoneer, in the regular Wagoneer. I don't know when we're going to drive it in the Ram, but I drove it in the Wagoneer just for a day, and it was nice. It was really smooth, powerful. I didn't have a long time with it to really evaluate it, but it felt, maybe I shouldn't say this, Matt, it felt like an EcoBoost, you know, because it's a turbocharged inline six.
Yep.
Maybe a hair smoother, and again, that's the whole i6 thing, because you always get that good balance. So the smoothness of the engine was a little more apparent, but yeah, strong turbocharged power. It's going to match up with the truck really nicely. I think it's going to be a great combo.
Does Ford still build the Triton V10?
No, I don't think so.
Can you get it in a work chassis application anymore?
I don't think so.
Like I know for passenger cars, I think it went away.
It was the big deal when they introduced that Godzilla engine.
Yeah.
That the V10 was gone. I don't think so. But I don't know 100% sure either.
What does electric drive change due to the weight of an ATV side by side or PWC as far as winch capacity goes? Oh, like you're just saying it will.
And what's the winch capacity?
Your battery weight will offset the majority of your engine weight. I think has been kind of what we've seen, if not heavier.
It's going to be
a lot of applications.
I was going to say, I think it's going to end up heavier. Sadly, you know, I don't think batteries are still that much heavier, and then you still got to have motors in there too.
Yeah.
It all adds up. So I think that's the downside of no doubt of electric off-roaders is they're going to end up being heavier, especially in the snowmobile world. You know, weight is really your enemy. But the other thing that I've kind of learned from the Lightning is now you have more weight, but you have it concentrated in a smaller area. And like with most vehicles, the batteries are in the floor because then you get that low center of gravity. And the Lightning, it's so apparent, or any EV honestly, but mostly the Lightning, it's so apparent where that weight is sitting underneath you. So again, I imagine that in a side-by-side or an ATV, a performance ATV, where you're hucking it into a corner and the bottom of that ATV is just going to feel glued to the ground because you have that weight. Now, that's also going to mean the suspension has to be entirely retuned because it's carrying a bunch more weight. Maybe it needs to be beefed up. That adds weight. There is no doubt that this is it kind of adds on to itself. So brands are going to have to be careful. But this is why they're looking into it, right? I'm sure they're doing all this development work now to find out sort of the optimal range to weight ratio, because that's what it's all about, right?
That's exactly
how far do you need to go. If you need to go 500 miles, sure, but then your thing's going to weigh 3,000 pounds. So that's what they're going to work out, right?
Yep.
But still, I'm still definitely excited for it.
I just really like this comment. Mr. Clayton Biggs writes, I hope the new engines in the Tacoma are better. That old transmission hunted for gears in it more than Elmer Fudd hunted for bugs. It's just a great line, man.
Yeah, from the day we drove it, that 3.5 liter was just not the best.
It was always tuned for fuel efficiency, so
Totally.
it was constantly looking for its best spot, and it just took away from the driving feel.
Yeah,
driving experience.
It felt like it would go okay off the line, and then you'd get this weird dip in power. I can't say I ever felt it hunting that much for gears, but I was just never impressed with the power. Part of that was probably the transmission, though, as well. Getting the manual solved the issues. Like driving the TRD Pro with the manual, I always felt was probably my favorite setup in a Tacoma. And I like manuals, of course, so that has to be said. But yeah, with the manual, I didn't find it a problem. It should be better, though. Matt, it's got a battery. Anytime you get that hybrid power, you get the battery power, you know, you can totally supplement having any kind of lag in the low end, any lag anywhere in the power band, frankly. And if the Tundra tells us anything, Toyota's going to make sure that thing is not underpowered. Because the Tundra hybrid it's powerful, man. It rips that truck. So I think they'll definitely do that.
Do you guys, and I don't know what this design is, so hopefully you do. Do you guys think that Ford will ever get rid of the clamshell design? I don't know exactly what we're referencing there.
Yeah, I'm not sure I do either, to be honest.
So I can't answer that.
Yeah,
no idea. Sorry, guys. Watching from Jamaica. Awesome. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, greetings down to Jamaica, man. It's a lot warmer where you are.
Oh, yeah. My question is, why is Ford limiting its offerings in the North American market? We already have the newest generation Ranger, or called the Everest, in Jamaica, included in the new offerings from the U.S.
So the Everest is a good one, actually. That's one I've always kind of wondered why they didn't bring it here. Kind of small, rough and tumble SUV, off-roady kind of SUV. But the Ranger is more interesting. And again, it's just a question of Ford looked at it and said, we're building this Ranger for the world, and we're building this Ranger for North America. Then Ranger went away in North America. And then when it came back, they said, well, we don't want to build a brand new truck, so let's just ship in the World Truck. The problem is where they caught it in the development cycle. It was near the end of its life already. So I guarantee you that truck already had its redesign totally planned, and then North American Ford said, we want it back. It shows back up, and then I think 3 years later it gets the full redesign. Well, Ford North America is like, well, we weren't ready for that yet, so we got to wait an extra year. So anyways, that's sort of what happened with the Ranger, was just sort of how the timelines worked out between the World Truck and our truck. They probably could have sped it up if they wanted to, but for whatever reason they didn't. Maybe that's lightning development, or I don't know. But yes, we're getting the Ranger basically a year later than everyone else. I don't know exactly why, but it is weird. It's because we've seen it, right? And so it doesn't feel that exciting when it actually arrives, because we've been looking at it and talking about it for so long. But yeah, I always thought the Everest was a cool Ford, and I don't know if you've been in one. You can let us know if you like it. But
yeah,
I thought that maybe would have done okay here, and they never brought it. But now, of course, we also have Bronco, and Bronco didn't always exist. Now that it does, it kind of fills that spot.
Well, interesting side there, because Murad Good asks, do you see GM coming out with an SUV? And he says, based on the Canyon, Colorado, to compete with Bronco.
Man, I wish, right? Like, they brought out the Blazer, and it's nothing like the old Blazer. So yeah, it would make sense. I guess the fear in that market is that Wrangler is so established and it does so well that you don't want to jump in. But Ford pretty much proved that if you do it correctly, you can take some market share from Jeep, because the Bronco's been selling like hotcakes since it went on sale. So I guess in my eyeballs, there's a business case. I don't know if GM will go for it. They've already wasted the name Blazer, so unless they totally redesign the Blazer, but I don't see that happening. They can come out with a whole new name, though, of course. It would be cool, man. It would be really cool, especially because the ZR2 Colorado is so good, right? Give us an off-road little SUV based on the ZR2. Thing would be super cool.
Yep, Jeremy, I agree with you. I wish they brought back base model ATVs for $5,000. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I will say, so again, I just did a news video just today on the 2023 and a half Polaris updates. They do this half-year update, right? So there's all these special editions. And the one that I thought was really cool is the Polaris 570 Utility HD. So this is a base model work ATV.
That's a mouthful. Yeah.
I believe it was still $8,000 to $10,000, so it's not that affordable, but that's everything now. It has a front hitch from the factory. So if you want to move around trailers or something, you can actually, drive into them and have the front-mounted hitch. And it gets extra power ports all around it, so you can plug things into 12-volt power ports. That struck my eye as, again, being something that's really basic and for someone who just needs to work with their ATV. So
yeah.
I thought that was cool.
We're winding down to 8 o'clock here, so we'll get to a couple more of you guys here. Do you think they'll keep the manual in the new Tacoma?
No.
For the 500 fanboys out there that want one, no.
And it's still disappointing, but I don't see it, And I guess the one piece of evidence we have against that thinking is that Toyota has kept the manual this long, and they've kept it in trucks like the TRD Pro.
Yeah.
Because for a while, the manuals were relegated to like the base model penalty box editions that nobody wanted. But Toyota recognized, look, this is an enthusiast truck. People who buying TRD Pros, some of them are going to want manuals, and they offered it. So kudos to Toyota. So somebody at Toyota cares, Matthew. That's the point. Somebody cares about manuals. All we can do is sit here and hope. I'm not hopeful, though. I don't think it's likely.
Tristan Wright, thoughts on the new Tundras? Tristan, just because we're pressed for time tonight, if you click on over to the channel, we have a 10-video series where we spent hours upon hours and kilometers after kilometers talking and sitting and driving and talking about those trucks. So you'll hear every single idea that we've ever had on those vehicles. Just click on over, watch a bunch of stuff, make fun of us, let us know what you think then.
Yeah, heck yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Tundra, real quick, pretty good. Not crazy good. They didn't blow any of their competitors out of the water with that truck. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But Matthew is correct that we did talk a lot about it. So go watch the Arctic series, man. There's lots there.
It's true. Andrew got back to us. I haven't been in the new Everest, but it's here in our showroom. We even have the Bronco Raptor in Jamaica.
Nice.
You bugger. Fun fact, the first Ford dealership outside the U.S. to get it was in Jamaica.
Nice.
Well, we hate you.
Bronco Raptor is amazing.
It
man.
really is a cool car.
Yeah, and someone points out Gladiator will be the only truck left with the manual. Yeah, right now there's only two, Matt. Gladiator and Tacoma. That's it. So if Tacoma goes away, it'll only be Gladiator.
Wow.
Then there was one, and then we just hope that Jeep keeps it around. And again, of all the brands to do it, Jeep would be the one to keep it because they're such an enthusiast-focused brand. But like you said as well, nobody buys manuals anymore.
It's all the dollars and cents at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
I hate that that's the case, but...
Yeah, they're running
They're
businesses.
in businesses.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate no one wants manuals anymore.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, lots of good questions. Thanks for weighing in, everybody. We appreciate it. We can talk a little bit about what we've got coming up too, Matt. So
Sure. I want to take one more from
Yeah.
Ron.
Yeah,
Ron
of course.
Nelson.
Sure.
Steven, if you sold Big Green, what would the next classic truck be?
Oh, it's a good question. I've got too many dreams, I think, like all of us enthusiasts. So the stupidest idea I have is there's somebody who lives close to where we test all the trucks who has two FJ40s.
Oh,
They look to be like, I don't know, 50s or 60s FJ40s, old Toyotas. I love Toyota's Land Cruisers. Like I will one day own some type of classic Land Cruiser, and this guy has two FJ40s, one that's totally rotten and one that's halfway rotten. So one would be a parts car for the other.
They're Toyotas, they run.
And that's why it's a mistake, because it would take a lot of work. But man, every time I drive by, I'm just like, oh, I want one of those FJs. So an FJ's on the list. I don't know. You know, another thing I really dream about too, and this is kind of the opposite of what we do on the channel, but I still really would like it, is a Lightning, a 90s F-150
Oh, the
Lightning.
flare side,
The performance
lowered
truck.
Yeah,
You
those are
know?
cool little oddballs.
Take it for track days and stuff.
Yeah.
Those would be amazing videos on the channel. And then I'll still put a trailer behind it.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I've always kind of fantasized about a Lightning as well. And then I'm not sure what else. Those are the two that come to mind first, especially the FJs, because I look at it all the time.
This past summer when we were at the Woodward Dream Cruise, I nearly ran across 6 lanes of traffic because I saw a Dodge Warlock with a for sale sign in the back window.
Yeah, the Warlocks
I
are
risked
cool.
life and limb to go and get that phone number, and the guy drove away from me before I got it.
The Warlocks and the Little Red Expresses, man. Both of
The
them
Little
are
Red
cool.
Express too, but I think Little Red Express before Warlock, but I'll take either if I can find the right deal.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, Dan said old Power Wagon. Those old Power Wagons are super cool too. That's the thing, right? There's so many cool trucks, and I love Big Green, but it's fun to trade in and move on to something else exciting.
The weirdest project truck I almost bought, because I just say that because it didn't work out financially at the time. And if I can find one again, if anybody knows anyone, send me one my way. A 76 Ford F-250 Highboy with the Harvester International 6-cylinder diesel in it. I don't want a Ford engine, but I would love that engine.
The Highboys are cool too.
Yeah, that truck. I had one lined up, and like I said, it just didn't work out. But if I could ever see one of those again, I'd pick it up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's so many cool things. Now I got my brain working.
All right, so what's coming up? What's coming up in the next few weeks?
Yeah, so what's going on? So I mentioned the Florida videos over on TK Powersports and RVs. We're going to start dropping all those RV reviews. Matthew and I just today filmed a Ram Rebel GT versus GMC Sierra AT4X video.
Those trucks are still cooling off in the driveway, literally.
Yeah, so if you want to see Rebel versus AT4X, that'll be coming up in the next couple of weeks as well. Funny enough, Matthew, Dad and I did a minivan comparison we're going to throw up on the channel. What the heck, like I mentioned, I have 3 kids, so I'm a great guy to test a minivan. So that's coming up too.
You know what? People love the baby seat, child seat bits.
It's important.
And we get a lot of love on those, and thank you guys, because it's something a lot of guys don't do. You know, well, everybody gets into this business to drive a Ferrari, and that's just the truth.
Yeah.
So they don't give a damn about the car seat. They don't show off the car seat. We go, yo, we got kids. I mean, hell, we threw what? 4 yogurt containers and 2 packs of goldfish out of the truck today just to shoot in it. Like,
you got to do it.
It's just everyday stuff.
So yeah, minivan comparisons coming, and then here's what's truly exciting, guys. This is, I think, the coolest video we have coming up. Dad and I visited a place called East Coast Defenders. They're in Kissimmee, Florida. Maybe you've heard of them. There's other videos on YouTube about them. Actually, they have a super cool YouTube channel as well, so you can check that out. But at East Coast Defenders, they will take any generation of Land Rover Defender that you want. They will source it. They will take it to their place in Florida, and they will absolutely rebuild it. And I'm talking every nut and bolt. These things are gorgeous. Hand-built, works of art. I believe there's 8 powertrains you can choose from, Matt.
Wow.
Most of them are small block V8s. Cummins diesel as well, and a Tesla EV powertrain. You get to pick whatever you want. They're just absolutely gorgeous. They also cost $250,000 plus, so you're paying for the amount of work, but these things are just beautiful. So Dad and I got a full tour of the facility, and we got to drive one with one of those small block V8s. So yeah, I think, like I said, that's the coolest video we got coming up. That'll be coming up in the next week.
All right. So basically, you got to be Jeremy Clarkson to appreciate or afford one.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, we appreciated it, but that was it. I looked at it and said, this is amazing, and not for me, because I'll never be able to afford this. Yeah, there you go. I think that is it for tonight, everybody.
Yep.
We appreciate you guys tuning in.
Lots of cool dream trucks being dropped in here. I love it. Thanks, guys.
We could have a whole episode on dream trucks.
That's an easy one to do. We'll do that one night.
Yeah.
Just sit here and talk about dream trucks.
Yeah, there's so many cool trucks, especially like you mentioned those special editions and Warlocks. Yeah, anyways, but that's it for tonight, Matt. So Matthew and I will try and be back here, not in 2 weeks' time, because I'll still be getting back from California.
And Toronto Auto Show.
And then we have the Toronto Auto Show. Yeah. That's our local auto show, of course. So we will be down there at the Toronto Auto Show. In fact, if we are talking to any locals, I'm going to be there in the AJAC booth. That's the Automobile Journalists Association of Canada. And I'm going to be manning that booth for a little while. So if you are coming to Toronto, reach out in an email, hey@trucking.ca, and I'll let you know when I'll be there, and we can meet up and talk about dream trucks in person. And Matt's going to be there too. So yeah, we can say hey.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So yeah, thanks so much, and keep on trucking.
See you later.
See you guys.